Okay, this tarot deck is dripping in divine feminine energy. This is the perfect deck for doing sensual rituals, boosting self-love, attracting lust, romance, or love, and even combining glamour magic, working with deities, and so much more. One thing I love about this tarot deck is the guidebook. It has everything I want in a guidebook and more, and not only does it cover every single card with an amazing description of upright and reversed meanings, but the major arcana cards each have a goddess, planetary correspondence, affirmation, journal question, and an entire ritual to do based on the card. The minor arcana has a planetary correspondence, affirmation, and journal question. A lot of the cards in this deck are not safe for work or not safe to post on social media, so some of the photos are blurred or obstructed while I'm showing them here, which is honestly such a shame because they are so incredibly beautiful and tasteful, and if I could, I would just show them to you. I hate that I have to blur them out. I hope that my little hearts are enough to avoid this deck taken down, but allow you the space to still see the cards and their artwork. Did I even say the title? This is the Goddess of Love Tarot by Gabriella Herstick. This is a 78 card tarot deck that was released in October 2023 by TarcherPerigee Publishing. This is obviously one of those decks that won't be for everyone, but if you are someone who works with or is drawn to Aphrodite, ancient Egypt, different deities, the divine feminine, the female body, roses, the colors red and pink, I mean, for a certain person, this deck will definitely draw you in and be for you. And if you aren't familiar with the deck creatress, Gabriella Herstick, she's written numerous books on sensuality, magic, and witchcraft, and she has her own podcast called Love, Lust, and Magic. If that topic or this deck interests you in any way, you should definitely check it out. She also runs a coven, and while I can't talk about the exact topics and the focus of the coven because of restrictions on social media, it looks like an amazing offering, especially if you're someone who works in the oldest profession or does any type of, corn or fun things like that. This coven is an incredibly safe space that highlights empowerment and education, and while I am not part of the coven itself, it does look like a really amazing offering, and I wish I could talk more about what Gabriella offers online, but you should definitely check out her website, Instagram, or her podcast because she has a ton of really cool resources. The deck is obviously quite collage style, and it's by Julia Popescu, who, I'm sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly, who's also called Snakes for Hair, and they do really, really cool artwork as well as altar candles that they offer that are very witchy, occulty, astrology focused, folk magic inspired, really cool. As for any downsides of the deck, obviously one downside for me as someone who posts a lot on social media is that a lot of these photos I sadly can't post on social media, but that's not the deck's fault. That's really just social media being social media. Cardstock on this one is also a little bit on the thin side if that bothers you, but with cardstock, for me, it's always hard to predict what's going to last and what's going to fall apart. In my personal practice, I found that decks that are on the thin side don't tend to fall apart very quickly. The ones that do are ones that are a little bit more like laminated. But that is definitely something to keep in mind. I really wish that they would do like a relaunch of this deck and do a gilded, super thick, high quality gold foil deck. That would be incredible. Perhaps because of the collage style, some of the images are a tiny bit blurry perhaps when looking at them super close up. But that's just me being incredibly picky. I don't think that that's going to prevent me from using or loving this deck. As much as I do love all of the cards, I absolutely adore the artwork. I think that it is so standout, so inspiring. I have to say that the guidebook is really what impressed me with this deck. I absolutely love each of the card descriptions and how they're described from a very sensual perspective. It really opened me up to see the cards in an entirely new way. And as someone who's been reading tarot for so many years and worked with so many decks, I can say that this guidebook has a unique perspective that I have never before seen in a deck. And I absolutely love that. I think with so many tarot decks nowadays, it's really hard to pull that off, but this deck absolutely does. What do you think about this one? Purchase or pass?